I listened to every Tofubeats album. Asterisk. Because Tofubeats was the first really big name to come from the net label scene, he has a bunch of material under the name DJ Newtown scattered across Bandcamp and SoundCloud. This video is called Tofubeats albums, not DJ Newtown albums, so I'm not gonna do those. With the exception of West members, because that fits in more with his later discography, it's a whole thing. I'll get to it when I get to it. I'm also not counting any of his super early EPs under the name Tofubeats, such as Beats for Rap and Summer Dreams. Japanese Wikipedia says his first album as Tofubeats is 2013's Lost Decade, so that's where we're gonna start. This is a pretty interesting record, as it's his only album not released via a major label. It's also considerably more hip-hop focused than a lot of his later works. I mean, he is called Tofubeats after all, not Tofu Electropop. He usually draws some pretty good features, and this is no exception, with contributions from Pun P of Odd Taxi fame and Sky High, notable for naming like his 9th album The Debut. A lot of the hype fun songs are shoved in the first half of the record here. All I Want to Do is a grower, but it's still kinda simple and maybe a little long. The Sky High feature on Fresh Salad is really good and helps that be probably the best song on the record. His rapping is super energetic, and the pop rap chorus the song has is really cool. That's not to say the first half is all great, however. One thing we need to establish right now about Tofubeats is that he is really hit or miss. He'll make one of the most pointless songs you've ever heard and immediately follow it up with a masterpiece. In the middle of All I Want to Do and Fresh Salad is Les Aventuriers, which has that Pun P feature. It's not good. The rapping is wonky and the instrumental is kinda repetitive. Heck, even right after Fresh Salad we get some pointless stuff. Mention You is a far too long 2013 EDM song that has not aged well in the slightest, and that extends to the title. I Don't Care is some kinda annoying sample work and is generally uninteresting. And Time Thieves is simply not my flavor of EDM. And just like I Don't Care, it has some annoying vocal sample work. The back half of this album is a lot more consistently decent, but it's not really good. This album lacks the stellar highlights of future Tofubeats albums. Songs like Number One and Synthesizer are fine, but they're not really special in any way. There's nothing about them that I want to come back to ever. And that's not to say there isn't bad songs still. Omoidori and Touch A are just not good. One of the last songs on this is Suisei. Is that how you say it? Last time I pronounced that wrong, I got flamed in the comments for like a week. It's apparently a really big song in Japan. It's got 6.5 million plays and other versions of it of a further 5 million, so I expected a lot out of this. It's fine. I see how it might have become big. It's reasonably catchy and inoffensive, but again, nothing really hooks me about it. There's nothing that makes me want to come back to it. It's perfectly listenable, it's just not that great. It probably doesn't help that by the time this song comes on, I've been listening to this album for over an hour and I'm not big on the prior songs. This brings me to another classic Tofubeats trait. This guy does not know how to trim the fat at all. Pretty much all of his albums are bloated with completely pointless EDM tracks and other assorted nonsense. He'll have a couple fantastic, amazing songs and then 15 that just aren't. This album is 1 hour and 15 minutes long. It has no reason to be. I'm not gonna bring back the good song scale from the Pillows video because I feel like that wouldn't accurately represent Tofubeats' quality. And you'd also get like a 5 out of 18 on every album. I'm gonna opt for letter grades instead, and this one's getting a C. It's fine, it passes. Not with flying colors at all, but it gets there in the end. This brings us to his second album, 2014's first album. Yeah, he named his second album First Album. He might be the only person in music history to do that. This was called that because it's his first album on a major label, and I'm really holding myself back from going on a rant about Japanese bands pretending any album they released prior to getting on a major label doesn't exist. This has a lot of that straight up pop sound that would continue into his next album. Lots of these songs feature guest singers, and Tofubeats feels like he's being told to collab with as many people as humanly possible to increase his record sales. That's probably what happened, actually. The features here are a lot more notable too, with Chisato Morisaka and Takashi Fuji, both of whom are big Japanese celebrities from what I can tell by a quick Google search. Despite this, the album elects to start on a really weird trap song called Eyes on You, which has no guests and features arguably the worst Tofubeats vocal performance ever. It sucks. Even more bizarre is that 2 songs shortly after this are nothing short of fantastic. Come On Honey is a silly, happy pop song that makes great use of all 3 singers and has a great chorus. And that chorus is only topped by the next song, Disco no Kami Kami-sama, which is a fantastic melody and is endlessly catchy. In classic Tofubeats fashion, he follows up 2 incredible pop songs with Oshi Tekken Saku, which is ass. The production sucks, the actual vocals are really repetitive, it's not at all good. Candyland with 3 Ys as yen symbols also sucks. It's another 2010s EDM track that has not aged well in the slightest. From here, this album goes into 4 songs of mostly instrumental house and club, starting on Populux and continuing through to Content ID. The first 2 of these songs are the classic Tofubeats house songs, where they're perfectly listenable, but they don't really do anything and are never really good. Framed Moments I do like quite a bit, though I think it makes really good use of its vocal sample. That song then is immediately followed up by Content ID, which is bad. This wastes 3 minutes, although I do think it's really funny that this kind of wacky, disjointed club track is on what is supposed to be a mainstream pop album. The pop does come back after this, though. Her favorite is more rap-tinged and is fine, but Don't Stop the Music is excellent. The instrumental feels pretty simple, but it changes it up just enough to keep it interesting, and it's complemented by a really smooth vocal performance from pop star Chisato Morisaka. It's got a fun melody, and the climaxes really nicely. It's a great song, even if it is maybe a little long at over 5 minutes. Koromogai is here, and I have nothing to say about that song other than it exists, and it's too long. It's a decent 3-minute pop song stretched out to 6.5 for no reason. I'm realizing how this album gets its length now. The last 2 songs are better though, because they have what I secretly love, which is that insane auto-tuned Tofubeats singing. Hitori is pretty solid, but I'm really interested in 2014-08-03, which serves to wrap the album back around to the intro where it started. The melody in this song is fantastic, both in the verses and the chorus, and its slightly more aggressive vibe gives it some punch to end what is a fairly relaxed album overall. I'll give it a B-, but I'm also gonna give him some advice on how to fix the track list here. You can keep the intro, then you go Come On Honey, Disco no Kami-sama, Framed Moments, Don't Stop the Music, Hitori, and the closer. This gives him a 7-song, 27-minute album. I know that's on the short end, but that's also just how much filler you can cut out of this. Even if you want to keep all the straight pop songs and get rid of the random excursions into nothingness, you can still get this down to like 40 minutes. This has no reason to be over 70 minutes long at all. Why are all of his albums so long? Now we move on to his next album, 2015's Positive. And as I said earlier, if you're looking for that straight up Tofubeats J-pop, you've got it here. In fact, this is his most straight pop album. The problem with it is that the songs just aren't written as well. There's simply less good songs here. He takes less risks, which means there's also less bad songs, but everything kind of falls into a pit of being okay, but not really good. He also fully commits to the features here, as almost every track has one, far more than any of his previous work. Dance and Dance is our opener, and interestingly, this song makes me want to awkwardly sit in a chair rather than dance. This lacks energy, which you would not expect from a song called Dance and Dance. There's a pretty fun instrumental that would make it seem dance-worthy, but there's no real punch or hit here whatsoever. Tofubeats' singing, while usually pretty decent, just misses the mark. Positive and TDM are the 2 good songs on this album, Positive being carried by a great vocal performance from model Dream Almy and a stellar chorus melody, while TDM has some actual instrumental prowess with a really funky bass line. The song is a super sick groove that I'd wish he'd do some more of, making it pretty much the only song here with a consistently good instrumental. Remember when I said there's less bad songs here? Notice how I didn't say there's no bad songs here. Too Many Girls sucks. Kreva's rapping doesn't fit on this instrumental, and the chorus of them just whining, too many girls, over and over again just sounds terrible. That's not the only bad song on this album, because there's also Throw Your Laptop on a Fire, which is some weird-ass Skrillex worship that should not have been allowed within a 1,000-foot radius of this album. This has aged so badly, which is impressive considering it came out in 2015. That's not that long ago. The footwork parts do kind of hold up, but those are a minority of this song. I Know You is the obligatory 3 minutes of EDM bullshit where he does nothing but pad time with a mildly pleasant but completely pointless instrumental track. There's a Skylar Spence feature here on Without You. I love Skylar Spence, so I was actually really excited for this song, but it's fine. The chorus is just kind of fine. The whole thing is fine, but not really good. There's not a lot of substance to it. Sutekina Maison is the most popular song on the album. Why? It's really boring. The next few songs are also kind of boring until we get to the closer, I Believe in You, which is 8 minutes long. It's a house track that does nothing interesting but unravel. For what reason did this have to be 8 minutes long? You could have gotten the point across in much less time. It's pretty fun by the end, but the 6.5 minutes it takes to get to that point just isn't worth the listen. This album gets a C+. Like, there's less outright bad songs, but instead it just ends up being really uninteresting most of the time. Speaking of being really uninteresting most of the time, 2017's Fantasy Club. This got a Pitchfork review, and a really positive one at that. That's bizarre considering this is his second worst album. One thing you're gonna notice here is that this album is a lot more bare bones in some ways. Most of the features are gone, replaced with instrumentals and Tofubeats singing, and the album is also a lot less pop focused, being instead more in the realm of future bass or house. There's even some more rap here too. Chant number 1 is a fairly catchy opener, hurt by the fact that it goes into a breakdown like a minute before the end. That breakdown could have easily been condensed into like 10 seconds max. Shopping Mall is a pretty bland trap pop rock track that's fine but not particularly interesting again. That's really a theme on this album and a lot on his previous albums too. There's a lot of tracks that are totally fine but simply not interesting. The most popular song, and I think Tofubeats' most popular song in general, Lonely Nights, falls into this camp. The instrumental is just super bland. This is a really generic pop song that lacks a lot of the fun and flair that you'd expect out of a Tofubeats one. Open Your Heart is a pretty good song. I think it's got some good sampler work and it's pretty catchy. It sounds like a tighter version of Chant number 1, and that makes it the second best song on the record. Following that, Tofubeats returns to his old tricks by putting a stupid, dumb, pointless song, that being the 2-minute interlude Stop, right before one of the greatest pieces of music I've ever heard, that being What You Got. What You Got is the song that made me completely fall in love with Tofubeats. It's the song that made me want to make this video. It's so good. The simple electronic melody keeps pushing you forwards as Tofubeats' vocals get more and more energetic, and he adds more and more layers to the instrumental. We are briefly derailed by a completely out-of-place trap breakdown, but I'll give Tofubeats a pass on stupid, dumb trap breakdowns because he does have beats in the name after all. Kinda just comes with the territory at that point. Once we move past that, it's right back into the groove before the song reaches its peak just past the 4-minute mark. And I swear, the peak of this song is one of the best moments of music I've ever heard. It is unbelievable amounts of fun. He adds some background vocals and gets a girl singer to compliment, and it is so catchy and dancey and groovy. It rules so hard. I love this song. It's like 10 times better than any other song on the record, but it's honestly worth the price of admission alone. From there, we get This City, a 7-minute long instrumental track that does nothing but unravel. Gee, where have I seen that one before? Anyways, right now I need to talk about a major flaw of this album listening to it outside of Japan, as I assume most of you watching this video will be. The second last song and climax of the album is Baby, a fairly decent and kinda smooth pop song. Now, if you go to pull up this album on Spotify, you'd see Fantasy Club, international version. And you might notice that there's 12 songs instead of 13. And you might notice that Baby is not there at all. This is apparently because of sample licensing issues, but it's still dumb. You can't just cut out the climax of the album like that and hope people don't notice. Anyways, the album ends on Chant number 2. It's the worst version of Chant 1, and I don't really want to talk about it. C+. That extra plus over Lost Decade is entirely because of What You Got. That song is awesome, and also maybe the only song on this album worth really listening to, in my opinion. His next album is 2018's Run. That cover looks familiar. Oh wait, it's my profile picture. This album makes the very weird choice of starting on a weirdly aggressive 2-minute trap song that sounds like shit, immediately followed by a skit. You know it's a skit because he called it skit, even though it's not a skit and is actually an interlude and should have been called shit. If you're listening to it, pretend this and the title track don't exist and start with track 3, that being Immortal Love. It's a lot more fitting of an album opener anyways. This is one of Tofubeats' tightest pop songs to date. It doesn't overstay its welcome, clocking in at just over 3 minutes, and it's incredibly fun and catchy. The hook is excellent, and the house-inspired chorus gives it a great rhythm. Tofubeats' singing is also on point here, and the melodies take an already great song to the next level. This one's awesome. Moonlight is the next song, and it's also great. It kind of feels like more of the same from Immortal Love, but that song rules, so I'm always down for some more. This feels more akin to something from first album, especially Disco no Kami-sama, as the instrumental feels looser and more focused on grooves. It's also on the long end for a pop song like this at 4.5 minutes, but I think it works. This one uses that time to build up slowly. The final climax of this song is worth the wait, but all the bits that get you there are great as well. The sample work is pretty fun, and the singing is once again pretty good, with some more fun melodies. If you pretend the first two songs don't exist, as I like to do, this is a really solid start for the album. From there, however, we enter Tofubeats' pointless EDM hell. We get 3 back-to-back songs totaling 20 minutes of completely pointless house and other forms of EDM that just do nothing but unravel and serve no purpose. Now, none of these songs are bad, they're all mildly pleasant to listen to. The problem is that they try to be nothing more than mildly pleasant to listen to. They don't feel like they ever actually try to do anything. They don't want to stand out at all. Like, again, they're all decent vibe songs, but sometimes I want some more bite or substance to my music, you know? You Make Me Acid is something I could enjoy if I'm in the right mood, but when am I ever gonna come back to the other two? And this is 40% of the album. Why? Following that is Newtown, which is the rare, slower Tofubeats song that I actually enjoy. Probably because it's just really catchy. It's a lot more mellow and serves as a much-needed change of pace from the previous 3 up-tempo house songs. The sampler bits here are stellar, and the intermittent singing is a different yet very welcome sound for him. If I'm ever sad but I still feel like listening to Tofubeats, this is the song I go for. From there, the album doesn't really do anything to the end. Sometimes it's fine. Dead Wax feels more like an interlude than anything else. And River, which is supposed to be a really popular song, is just boring. I don't get why this was popular outside of I think it was in a movie. Maybe that's it. The bit at the end is fun, but it requires way too much build-up. This might be another instance of a song with good lyricism, but because I don't speak Japanese, I am missing out on all of that. Run is just really weirdly structured. The start is off kilter, and right when you think you're getting into the meat of the album and that it's gonna be pop, you get chucked into 20 minutes of bland house music. Then the rest of the album feels like a bunch of songs that don't really go together and were chucked on as an afterthought. I am gonna give it a B- though, mostly on the strengths of tracks like Immortal Love, Moonlight, and Newtown. They're all fantastic enough that I can't really justify giving it any lower, but there's not enough consistency here for me to justify giving it any higher. Following this, we're not doing a Tofubeats album. Released under the name DJ Newtown, the next album is 2019's West Members. Now, I said I wouldn't be doing DJ Newtown albums, but I think this fits in because every song on this album is built around a Tofubeats song. For example, Im Fum is built around Immortal Love from Run. Wah samples What You Got from Fantasy Club. And So samples So What from Lost Decade. It's also not at all a pop album. It's a straight up house album. And you may be thinking I'm just gonna complain, but no, I actually really like this one. Just like how the bass Immortal Love is probably the best song on that record, Im Fum is the best song here. The groove is really good, and it has some almost funky touches through the samples. This song reminds me of future funk, which I'm somewhat ashamed to admit is a genre I really like. You gotta be able to dig through the trash, but trust me, there's some great stuff there. Weirdly, despite being a pretty different album from what he typically releases as Tofubeats, it's a lot more consistent. There's no outright bad songs on this record, as everything at least has some merit. Pause samples Positive, and is good, but maybe a little too long for me. And So uses those samples to build a really cool melody that somehow makes it a good vibe track and a hard house song at the same time. Show, which samples Shopping Mall from Fantasy Club, is really fun, because I like it a lot more than the song it's actually being sampled off of. This is another song with a really cool sample melody, and I'm a sucker for massive, big, huge kick drums in the percussion. While Shopping Mall is a bland trap song, this is a really strong track that just gets better and better as it goes. Stowe is also really fun. It samples Stop from Fantasy Club, and not only is it way better than that, but this is kind of a beta version of a song we'll see later on his album Reflection, Emotional Bias. This is a very bare bones bleep bloop version of what would eventually become that song, but I think it's really cool to see where the melody idea for that came from. Overall, this is better than I was expecting. Is it weird for me to give this his best rating so far? I don't care, I'm gonna do it. It's a B. It's far, far more consistent than his previous work despite being in a completely different genre. You can't have random shit instrumental EDM excursions when all of the songs are EDM house. He actually focuses on that sound here and does it well rather than just using it to pad time. It's really good. I'm also gonna go a little off track here to talk about his 2020 EP, TBEP. Really creative name there. The real star of the show is the first song, Conspiracy Theory, which kinda blows everything after it out of the water. It's a 5-minute, super energetic and rhythmic pop song that's pure fun. It's a super addicting song too, so once you listen to it once or twice, it's gonna be stuck in your head, and you're gonna go back and listen to it more. It rules. The rest of the EP is fine, I guess. Move Your Feet As You Like is a song I could enjoy if I was a certain mood, but as for now, it's only a slightly better than average mid-Tofubeats house song. Actually, most of this album is those mid-house songs. Move It is the same way. Hot Touch is different, however, as it takes the brave leap from being a mid-house song to a bad house song. This is a lot more harsh than typical Tofubeats material, and while I appreciate him being willing to experiment, this is simply not it. Somebody Tore My Pee is here, which is a song that I'll get to more later as it also appears on his most recent album, Reflection. Just know that here it's another mid-house song, albeit one where the unraveling is actually kinda cool this time. It's a decent first listen, but not something that keeps your attention enough to where you can come back to it often. Club is an actual pop song, but it's 7 minutes long and doesn't really evolve or progress at all. It's a perfectly fine sound, but not special enough to warrant 7 minutes of it. Perfectly pleasant background listening, but you will be disappointed if this is in the foreground. Another B- for TBEP. It's fine, it's decent, I don't think I'm ever gonna come back to it. There's not enough here outside of Conspiracy Theory. This brings us to his most recent album and our last one for today, 2022's Reflection. And this is his best one. For the Pillows video, I kinda heard their best albums and then decided to listen to all of them in order, but this was my first experience with Tofubeats, which meant I kinda ended up listening to all of his albums in reverse. This album is a good mix of everything Tofubeats has done over the years, and it's probably the best introduction to his music overall. It's got some hype and catchy pop songs, some rapping, some completely pointless 3-minute long EDM excursions, and some even more completely pointless 8-minute long EDM excursions. The immediate highlight here is Peak Time, which is so catchy and awesome I named it as my song of the year for 2022. It only has one vocal section, but that section sticks in your head so easily and it never gets old. It starts simple but builds up until the whole song is bursting with life by the climax. It's the rare Tofubeats EDM song that is not just good, but great. It never fails to get me dancing. Let Me Be and Emotional Bias fit together, as Let Me Be pretty much feels like build up to Emotional Bias even though they're the same length. And Emotional Bias is another actually really good EDM song. As I mentioned earlier, this is a fully formed version of Stowe from West Members, and it's great. It's kinda repetitive, so it's not something I frequently revisit, but it's guaranteed to grab your attention on a first listen of this album. From here, the album moves into a rap section with Smile, Don't Like You, and Mature, Ballistic, In Love. Smile is a trap pop rap song that's really catchy and wouldn't sound out of place on a radio station. It's tight. The rest are Don't Like You, which is probably the worst of the 3 Nabis Tofubeats collab songs, and Mature, Ballistic, In Love, which is a really weird tropical beat that sounds super out of place. Following this, we get 3 pointless EDM songs, but after that is Vibration, with the most straight up pop song on the record, and one that's really fun and catchy. With its feature from Kotetsu Shoichiro, this wouldn't sound out of place if you just shoved it on first album. It is a lot more reserved than most of the tracks on that album, but that's just a sign of Tofubeats growing as an artist since then. City to City is great as well. It's kind of similar to Peak Time from earlier. It's mostly focused on an instrumental build-up that pays off really nicely, but it also has some really solid vocals thrown in here or there, especially on the chorus. It's a chorus that repeats one word over and over, but it sounds good, so who cares? Somebody Tore My Pee and Okay would be kinda excusable if only one of them was on the record, but for some reason they both are. Somebody Tore My Pee was already on TBEP and was not good enough to warrant being here as well. It just does nothing but unravel, and that's not enough to justify the 6 minutes of runtime this takes up. Okay doesn't unravel and is instead just 8 minutes of a stagnant sound that, while pleasant still, doesn't need to exist. The last big song and climax of the whole record is the title track, Reflection, featuring Kaho Nakamura. I want to preface this section by saying, I don't like breakcore. I don't like drum and bass. I've never been a fan of those genres or anything adjacent. With that said, this song is awesome. Despite the fact that I don't even speak Japanese, this song does an incredible job of getting its feelings across. The longing and anxiety are able to be expressed purely through the singing and beat, beat, even if you don't understand the words she's saying. And those feelings are beautiful and powerful. I said Peak Time was my song of the year, but this was a real contender. It's in my top 5 as well. This is genuinely one of the best singing performances I've ever heard, at least in terms of raw emotion. It's very rare that a Japanese song makes me feel things in the way this one does. The unraveling here at the end of the song is actually well deserved for a change, and is the cherry on top of this fantastic track. It's so out of left field for Tofubeats to make a straight up drum and bass song, and it's even more out of left field for me to actually really enjoy one, but it's so good. This album is still only gonna get a B+ though. The highs are incredible here. Tofubeats in general really has some of the highest peaks in music, and this album only serves to prove that. It's just the lows are so stupid. I'm gonna fix this track list again. Peak Time, Emotional Bias, Smile, Vibration, City to City, Somebody Tore My P to Pad Time, and then Reflection. That's a 7-song, 28-minute album of the year contender. Depending on your personal taste, you can throw in one of tracks 8 or 9, 6 or 7, or Okay instead of Somebody Tore My P. This album does not need to be over an hour long. At most, it should be 35 minutes. Also, real quick, I'll get yelled at if I don't mention this. He released an EP at the start of 2023 called A440, where he collabs with a British producer named DJ Q. The first song, 440 Hertz, is really good. The other two aren't. There's my thoughts on that. What I'm gonna do now is combine tracks from all of his albums to make the perfect Tofubeats album. And this isn't just gonna be like a top 10 Tofubeats songs. I'm gonna actually try to have a order to this. Have some reasoning here. The opener is gonna be Peak Time, because that song sets a great vibe and gets you excited. You gotta be able to hook people early. Then the album's gonna go through a pop phase, with track 2 being Conspiracy Theory, track 3 being Disco no Kami-sama, and track 4 being Positive. They all show off his hit-making abilities, and Disco no Kami-sama and Positive highlight his prowess with features. Conspiracy Theory also just feels like a nice continuation to the sound of Peak Time. Track 5 is going to move us into the not pop section of this album with What You Got, and track 6 will be Emotional Bias, as those two just feel right together. And to follow Emotional Bias, track 7 is going to be Smile, keeping the track listing from Reflection intact. Track 8 is Newtown, as the album moves into a more subdued section as it comes to an end. The album's going to climax on the 9th track, Reflection, before coming to an end on the 10th and final song, Don't Stop the Music. Reflection feels like a release of catharsis that will admittedly be undeserved, because the only song that built up to it was Newtown, but it's gotta be here somehow because it's one of his best songs. And I think Don't Stop the Music just feels built to be a happy album closer. I have no idea why it was in the middle of first album. So there you go. Every Tofubeats album. Tofubeats is a really hit or miss artist. He has some of the highest peaks of any artist, not only in Japan, but in music as a whole. But his albums are just so full of tracks that don't need to exist. For every genre-defining dance pop banger, there's 2 or 3 completely pointless and overly long mid-EDM songs. If he could trim the fat, he could be a legend, especially as his good songs just keep getting better and better over time. You can see that on Reflection. Like, comment, sub. I probably put way too much effort into making this video compared with the amount of people who are actually gonna watch this video. I don't think too many people in the West actually care about Tofubeats, but I've been obsessed with his best songs for months now, and I really wanted to talk about his unique discography. And hey, if I want to go further, most of the albums I talked about here are remix albums. That's a whole nother video I will probably never make. Anyways, I really appreciate y'all watching the whole thing. Thank you so much. Bye.